Good evening, free enterprise fans, and welcome. We have ourselves another exciting night of the Lunar Table stages. Prof. Corey versus Frostbite3030. My name's Vitasia. I'm joined tonight by Imperial Dragon. How are we doing tonight?
Doing good. Looking forward to seeing how this goes.
Absolutely. At 1 and 4, both Prof. Corey and Frostbite3030 are mathematically eliminated from advancing. So this is an evening of pride for both of these runners. And let's take a look at these objectives here. We have, Forge the Sword, which is static. However, we also have Conquer the Vanilla Ribbon Room, Defeat the boss at Dwarf Castle, and defeat the boss of the Mist Cave. What do you make of these objectives?
That is certainly a varying level of difficulty. I mean, Mist Caves just basically go in there at most points in the game. You can easily take that one, but the Ribbon Room can be a challenge.
Yeah, Ribbon Room can be a challenge. I mean, because that is going to be an objective, you probably want to already have your levels and your grind done by the time you're going up there. So really, the gatekeep in this one, as it is with most table flags, is going to be finding your grind at this point. Defeating the boss at the Mist Cave, super easy right out of the gate. We'll be able to do that unless there's something trolly there. And defeat the bosses of Dwarf Castle. We know we're going to have underground access relatively early, typically within the first 30 to 45 minutes. So that's going to be something that we'll be able to do. I gotta say, unless there's some things that are really, really well hidden, I think Moon, for the most part, is going to be haunted. And at the same time, I think that we're probably not going to see that sword forged.
It could go either way. It really depends on where everything ends up. I could totally see if some key items are, if certain key items are on the moon.
Yes, but our underground access cannot logically be on the moon.
Yeah, that's fair, but I'm more saying, like, if the legend sword or the adamant or something that leads to them is on the moon, could make things interesting.
Either way, we're just about to get started. Remember, this appears to, I think this is is this a Palom or a Porum?
Well, I think we'll figure out in
Porum. Yeah. Dissatisfied is saying Porum start. It looked like a Porum. Yep. Guaranteed white mage. Oh, that's disappointing. I mean, here is that adamant start that you so wanted. So
this is gonna be interesting.
Yeah, keep in mind that with the table stages, it's interesting that Prof. Corey went ahead and says, yeah, I'm committing to taking Rosa. Frostbite says, I want to hold off. I want to know what my other options are for a party are first.
I can't really blame him for deciding to wait.
No, absolutely not. When you have, I mean, depending on the party comp, one white mage will be plenty at this point in time. You know, you're already hoping for a Tella who, by the time you get to Threemus, would be another dead spot. So you try to balance out your party as best you can. Prof. Corey, already some divergence going to show us what's in Baron, while Frostbite is showing us what's in the cave, Watery Pass. Sid in Baron, Edward in Watery Pass. All characters are not created equally.
Yeah. The number of times I've had Eddie just spend most of the time I have him on the floor.
That's fair. It does look like Frostbite is done looting. Got some decent loot out of that cave. Nothing really that either of the current party members can use, but something nonetheless. Profcory, meanwhile, does find a Cecil in Mysidia, as well as our main man, Tella.
Well, to those hoping for a Tella-free seed, yeah, you're gonna be disappointed tonight.
Tella, one of those characters that, with Fusoya being absolutely out, he unlocks really everything that you could possibly want into a grind with that D machine. And since we have to go up to the moon at some point anyway, presumably, he'll be the key to that grind there. Frostbite, meanwhile, showing us what's going to be in Damsian, while profcory is running over some of Frostbite's earlier stops. Oh my. Imperial Dragon. Do you think they know about second Tellas?
I think so.
No, second Tella is horrible. One Tella.
Yeah, that was actually more what I was saying. I think they know not to. Especially when you're locked into it.
Yeah, one Tella is really all you need because you just need him for one spell. And you can't make grinding any faster with two Tellas, and even then, that's two dead spots later on for Threemus, which becomes a little bit much to handle. So two Tellas, one Tella, fantastic. Tella's probably had the biggest glow up in this tournament over the course of free enterprise history than any single character has ever had. Two Tellas is horrible. Now it's interesting, profcory, because he did pick up his Tella, is able to go much deeper in to this into the cave to be able to pick up whatever items are there, and then exit out, which Frostbite was not able to do because he did not have a Tella first.
Definitely nice to have that exit.
Meanwhile, Frostbite is also going to show us the Mount Ordeals character. Setting up the party absolutely is kind of one of the first things you want to do. And Kane, hey, I'll take a jumpy boy myself.
I'm actually a fan of Kane.
Dryzalizer in chat is saying that they thought maybe there was a white spear at some point, which would be fantastic if that's the case. Yeah, Kane is one of those characters that the only, like, when you look at Cecil and Kane, they can equip both of almost the same gear in terms of the heavy armor and such. Kane does not have access to, of course, the Excalibur and the Crystal Sword, which are the two most powerful weapons in the game, but he has the White Lance, which is still quite very good, and then Avenger Kane. You can also still manipulate him with dwarf axes, dreams, swords, things of that nature. So he's still a fantastic character without the downside of having him required to be your agility anchor. So he's just a fantastic character in this particular flag set. Glad to see that he's in this particular seat.
Yeah. I definitely like seeing him in these.
Yep, and getting him equipped with a fire sword, not fantastic early on, but manageable. Certainly enough to do enough damage to get through this particular boss. Again, I'm curious where we saw that white spear. I didn't see it, but yeah. Meanwhile, Frostbite making his way through will be the first one to Antlion Cave.
Elements.
That's super interesting. And with Kane, with the fire sword, that means it'll be a fire elemental attack on the Mylan Z portion. That's going to be enough damage to just wipe him off the map right away. Fantastic play there. And there's our underground access that we hope we didn't have to go through.
The fun of the hook.
Yeah, and that's not necessarily going to stop either of these runners, I think, from checking the rest of everything. And Justin Edward on Mount Hobbs, absolutely going to reset out of that. No, thank you. Mr. Long in chat is saying that White Spear was deep in Watery Pass on profcory's side. That's interesting because that seems to indicate that Frostbite will not be going to get it. So although he has the cane, will be running with somewhat inferior equipment. Kane is one of those party members that I don't know if profcory will be able to pick up. Again, picked up an early Rosa and a Tella, so he's got to be really careful with the rest of his party. Don't know exactly what he's going for. If he does pick up that cane, though, would be a fantastic pickup on his part, because if he's going to keep that White Spear, don't know what he's going to do. He's a little bit of ways from that right now. It'd be really interesting to see what happens once he gets down there to Mount Ordeals. Meanwhile, Frostbite defending Fabul from Baigen.
Shouldn't be too bad.
Dumpster Player in chat says, are there no dupe items in free enterprise? And I want to clarify that. You can get multiple of the same items, like there are multiple crystal swords, multiple Excaliburs, white lances, whatever you can want out there. However, the duplication glitch is not enabled in this particular flag set. We do enable and disable certain glitches to allow us to complete the game easier or bypass certain things. For example, in the earlier stages of this tournament, in the group stages, we had the warp glitch turned on to allow people to get the second key item from the Luca cave, from the sealed cave, from the dwarf castle, which many of us did back in the good old days of the original Final Fantasy IV release. However, that is turned off for the table flags, for example.
I actually had never heard about that glitch until I was playing the randomizer.
That's hilarious to me, honestly, because I didn't actually do the sealed cave until I was an adult. I always skipped it. Yeah, a question in chat. Athiu says, is Tell a forced character in these races? Haven't seen any race without him yet. He is not a forced character, but he is considered one of the best characters in this flag set. There's some manipulation that some members of our community, Simbu and Twisted Flags, put together kind of a spreadsheet to manipulate what random encounter table that we are on. Effectively, we can set it up to go so that we can do what's called a D-machine grind in the Giant of Battle. And that's going to happen at some point, so I don't want to get too much into it, but Tella effectively enables that grind, and it is the best grind in the entire game, bar none. Tella enables it because he has early access to weak by just completing Mount Ordeals.
It's Tella's best point.
Early exit is also really helpful for Tella as well.
Okay, I'll give you that.
All right, so Frostbite going to town on this Baigen as well. Did anyone defeat Baigen out of curiosity?
I don't think so.
Okay. I mean, he can hit quite hard. There's no shame. Baigen is one of those sneaky hard bosses. Oh, meanwhile, we have Red Imps at the Rubicon spot, which will be super interesting because they're vulnerable to all sorts of stuff. Stops, for example. But more importantly, that's a Palom.
Profcory might have just filled in another spot.
Palom is very, very, very strong in this game. I know he's not one of the end game party members, but I think if you polled the members of the free enterprise community, I think most of them would happily swap a Palom in for Iridia for that end game party. Palom has better HP growth. He learns spells at a much faster clip, does not require as much experience to get online as Iridia does. And if all you're going to use him is for nuke anyway, he's fantastic. He's a little bit on the weaker side in that some of the best endgame equipment, like the Tiara, he can't equip, which would give him a boost to his magic power. So his best equipment is a little bit lower level, but that really doesn't matter when you have things like Bluff.
And a Stardust Rod.
I mean, that'll come in handy for that Palom.
Not terribly useful for the current party setup, but...
I don't know about that. Tella can equip the Stardust Rod, and that makes ordeals a cakewalk at this point.
Oh, yeah. I actually forget that Tella can equip that because I don't usually equip him.
I mean, that's a fair point. A lot of people don't equip Tella with anything. But yeah, Stardust Rod on a Tella, when you use the Stardust Rod as an item, in addition to it being just the best offensive weapon for a black magic user in the game, just it buffs, I think, plus 15 to your wisdom stat. But you can use it as an item to cast Stardust, which normally is a twin spell. And it does 600 to 800 damage per enemy, and when it does about that much at this level, when you're about to climb Mount Ordeals, that can take care of a lot early on.
Very true, especially with the health pools that some of those bosses have.
Meanwhile, profcory set up a little bit easier on this particular Baigen fight. We'll have Palom able to cast his Stardust Rod. Oh, but he's going to do twin. We do have a set of twins.
Yeah, I think he may have an easier time with this than Frostbite did.
And of course, using the power staff that he has equipped with Tella to berserk Rosa. That's really high level gaming right there. Knowing that the power staff has that effect when you attack with it. You can Zerk someone if you don't have the Zerk spell. Frostbite going to go and check this character. Frostbite's probably getting close to his party setup. I got to imagine he's going to take the Palom as well, especially knowing that he has that Stardust Rod. Hey, kind of nerdy housewife. I'm happy you learned something today. That's my dream, is just making sure everyone learns something every day. I don't know why profcory isn't using that Stardust Rod though. Come on, that's just so good.
Yeah, that would definitely be helping here.
Yeah, the chat's pointing out is that he looks like he's doing almost an arm grind. The way Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise sets things up is that every time you defeat an enemy, you get a little bit more experience. Now they split the base experience of a given area across the enemies that you kill. But when they revive or recovered or do whatever, if you kill them again, you get additional experience. So looks like he was grinding a little bit to get some extra XP before diving the hook route or going down to Mount Ordeals.
Definitely not a bad idea there.
Oh, and our tracker, Jofus Mano, says, oh yeah, he didn't have the Stardust Rod. Right, Frostbite did. That's right. I'm not smart, guys. Thank you.
We forgot. And you're doing a very good job of it, thank you. Our wonderful tracker.
Yeah. Jofus is doing our tracking. Meanwhile, I also want to give a shout out to Smatey, who rolled the seed and is doing the restream for us as well. The folks behind the scenes, doing all the work to make us look good.
Looks like profcory's doing some shopping.
Found charm arrows in
Silvera.
Yeah, in Silvera. That's not bad. That leads me to believe that he's probably gonna either Rosa or Porum is going to be set up to do a little bit of archery. Crack Troop, who was in Mistcave, and no one's visited Mistcave yet. Filiolus, what's the whole Threemus thing about? Just to play on Zeramus? No, this is the Highway to the Zemus Zone is kind of a tournament series that the Free Enterprise community has been going on. This is the third Highway to the Zemus Zone, so we called it Highway to the Threemus Zone. So we're clever.
It's a little bit easier to say than Highway to the Zemus Zone 3. Or at least a little less of a mouthful.
True. Frostbite and profcory are now both simultaneously climbing Mount Ordeals. Now this is profcory's first climb, so we'll see if he ends up taking this cane. He kept the White Lance up to this point in time, so I gotta think he's gonna be pretty happy about this, and he does. Profcory's party is set. Remember, with the table flags as they're set, as soon as you accept someone into your party, they are stuck there. You cannot build any further. You can't dismiss anyone.
And we have Dr. Lugay in the first spot.
Dreiselizer says a siren was picked up in one of the treasure chests for profcory. That's significant. Sirens are not available anywhere else.
Yeah, both of them got one off of Ordeals. It'll be interesting to see where they get used.
All right, so yeah, with this party setup as it's currently going, both runners are very well equipped and very well set up. profcory, again, better equipment on his cane and a full party. Frostbite, they're a little bit sooner though. And the worst part about Dr. Luge comes out poisoning the entire party. That makes it then what you do next a little bit more difficult. Do you go into the next part, into the next boss, poisoned?
That is actually a little bit of a tough call sometimes. Though hey, at least we don't have to watch a ton of poison walking on that side.
Twins are still casting Twin on profcory's side, Frostbite. Meanwhile, oh, we have ourselves a Dark Elf. This is a rude Dark Elf, all things said.
Yeah, I can see that.
Oh, that's the worst timed. That's that board face AI piggying his Tela just before a Cure 2 goes off on Frostbite's side. Oof.
And profcory is making a much faster time of it, it looks like.
Me change. So yeah, the full party setup you can already tell is made a difference. profcory has now passed Frostbite. And then weird thing about the Dark Elf is once he transforms into his dragon form, he actually loses the boss bit. You can stop him at that point in time.
I've made good use of that a few times.
Yeah, it's a fantastic use of that. Meanwhile, profcory is showing us the key item up on Mount Ordeals. Oh my.
Darkness crystal. That's interesting.
Ladies, gentlemen, and other folks here in the Free Enterprise channel, congratulations. We're at sub 30 minutes go mode, actually.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is right now. I mean, both of these runners are going to be doing kind of a very similar thing. They're profcory is going to be the first one there. Frostbite still has to figure out who he wants his fifth character to be at this point in time. No real good options that are otherwise available. My goodness, what do you do? But I mean, at this point, both runners, what they're going to do is go get the big whale. Frostbite might check the moon for another character if he's not happy with any of his options here. He could not, though. He could pick up the Rosa and say, we'll make it work. But they're both going to do their grind almost immediately right now.
Yeah, honestly, at this point, I would probably be taking the Rosa.
Barbas, the odds of Legend and Adamant being on the moon aren't great. They're not, because the Adamant was the opening item. So, I mean, theoretically, and this is... So we can absolutely right now go defeat the boss of Mist Cave. We have the Darkness Crystal, so we could, once we do our grind, we can go up and clear the Vanilla Ribbon Room. You can take your chance and do those two instead, and then clear the rest of the moon, hoping that you find Magma and Legend. Because keep in mind, in order to be able to forge the sword, you have to be into the underground as well. I don't know if I would take that bet. I think I would just go ahead, bite the bullet, dive underground with the hook route as soon as I'm done with the grind, do that, and then go up on the moon, do the Vanilla Ribbon Room last, because then you're right next to Threemus.
Yeah, honestly, the hook is the safe bet.
Does look like, though, they have to do some shopping. They still have to shop around. We got to find some life potions and some ethers for Tella at this point in time, because I don't know if we've seen any ethers either.
I don't remember seeing them.
Softnum is saying ether ones were in an early shop. I haven't seen them, but I'm not doubting that you saw them somewhere as well. Meanwhile, profcory is going to get our first objective done here. Leviathan in the Mist Cave.
There are worse bosses that I would love to see in the Mist Cave to get them out of the way than Leviathan.
Yeah, but at this point, it's like, it's whatever.
True enough. Once they get their grind done, pretty much most of the bosses shouldn't be that hard to deal with.
Yeah, and it's really interesting to me that they're both still shopping around for ethers and lives. Going over here to Kaipo. Kaipo's an out-of-the-way item shop that if you don't check it when you're already over here in the Watery Pass, you tend to just avoid it entirely. Also because this old woman is the worst. Just the worst. Yep, there's ether ones.
Now Frostbite's ready.
Yep, life potions there. Frostbites, okay. Oh, just check the character and then it's leaving. Oh no, because that's where the White Lance was. Not opening any of those chests. Frostbite, no. The curse of having knowledge that the runners don't have.
We can always route it better than they can just because we know more.
All right, so Frostbite is setting up, and we can get more into this D machine grind right now. What he's doing is he's counting the steps for his encounters. It's not necessarily trying to manipulate what the random encounter table is. It's just figuring out which random encounter we're on. For the table flags, we have you can't run away. You just cannot run away from random encounters. That was explicitly turned on as a way for the admins to try to avoid the easy D machine grinds. But our community is much smarter than that. So, devs, sorry.
They found a way.
They found a way. So we found this, table they did this manipulation to where we can be like, okay, what random encounter table are we on? So you count the steps outside Baron, where it's the easiest encounters. You figure out, okay, I had this many steps, I'm on this many encounters. I need a certain number more encounters in a certain room in order to guarantee that I have the D machine set up once I get to the Giant of Babel. And that's really all it comes down to. In the Giant of Babel, which is, again, a very end game sort of location, every enemy in this particular encounter does percentage-based attacks as long as you don't do something stupid, like try to hit it with a stick. The searcher will only summon the dragon machine. The little bots in front of them will only do beams, which do a percentage-based damage. Even the Threemus, as long as you're setting it up properly, will only do fire, which is, again, a percentage-based HP attack. It is one of the best grinds in the game, particularly at low levels, because as long as you have a healer somewhere, you shouldn't die. Shouldn't is the key phrase.
Yes, shouldn't. I've wiped more than once trying to do that grind, so... But I'm also not anywhere near the skill level of the players that are in the table.
Scala Kitty, one of our admins in chat, saying, oh, well, we'd probably figure out scrambling the encounter RNG. Uh-oh. Guys, get ready for Highway to the Threemus zone. It's coming. And Frostbite does end up picking up that Rosa. So the parties are identical at this point in time. profcory heading right in there. Frostbite taking a bit of a nap beforehand. So they're going to be hand in hand while they're doing this. The grind itself, if you have 10 key items, usually goes pretty fast. Usually only 3 or 4 D machines we have to kill directly in order to fully get up there. We don't have 10 key items, and we're at lower levels than we traditionally are when we go do this. So this might take a little bit.
Yeah, I don't remember the exact numbers on these, but I'm pretty sure it's in the 20s or 30s to do it.
Well, I mean, that sounds high. That sounds really, really, really high.
Maybe 20s.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've really had to try to count that, and I usually ended up screwing it up and not doing enough to begin with.
Yeah, so profcory is set up properly for the D machine encounter at this point in time. Fantastic as well. Worth noting, there is another glitch in the game that we do take advantage of that we've explained just about every race, but because just in case someone is out there who doesn't know, and for YouTube posterity, we like to explain it. So the life glitch. Life glitch is whenever you kill an enemy, they die. Now, when you cast life on something, be it a life potion or with a life spell, it revives them with HP back based on a percentage of based on their vitality. Now, enemies have 0 vitality. So if you kill an enemy and can target them with a life potion or a life spell as they are dying, and it casts on the spot, they revive with 0 HP because 0 vitality equals 0 HP, and they die again, which means you get double the experience.
Or more if you can get more lives off.
Yeah, I mean, there are some setups and manipulations that you can get multiple lives off at one point, so that each one counts as an additional dragon kill. So yeah, we see on profcory's side, there's the weak, there's the hit, there's the life.
And as a Renler said in chat, apparently the number is 24 to get level 1 Rydia to nuke. So that's probably about the number range I was thinking of.
Yeah, that would be max at that point. So 21, and then you have that, so 10. You pick up enough ether so that Tella can get through it, and then you just go. And both these runners, again, we're looking at identical parties, we're looking at identical fights. profcory has a little bit of an edge. It's all coming down to that white sphere. I gotta say, it allowed him to pass Frostbite as he was on Mount Ordeals, and it'll make a difference even once we get to Zeromus.
And also, profcory has got one objective down already.
This is true.
Frostbite still hasn't seen, or still hasn't looked at the mist cave.
And this is where having a couple of white mages comes in handy. You can get yourself to where you're pretty low, and then, hey, cure up. And hey, even low-level Cure 2s are doing enough healing that you can survive a couple more fires. While we're going through this grind, I do want to kind of go down the list of other remaining races going on tonight. Over on RPG Limit Break, about to start here in the next 5 minutes, we'll be Gaming with a Wraith versus Flurry 14. You have Sheep Launcher and Bad Karma on the mic for that one. And then over on our free enterprise channel at 10 o'clock Eastern, so in a little over an hour, will be Slippery 42 versus Zyrak. You have LM Motas and Ivalon on the call over on that one. Does look like we have some races that are already scheduled for tomorrow as well, if you want to get your calendars out at 7 o'clock Eastern on RPG Limit Break tomorrow. Mecha Link versus Actual JP. Asuka and Commander Leonhardt are on the microphone for that one. And then Twisted Flax versus Locky Cole live on Free Enterprise at 8 o'clock Eastern tomorrow. Zoe Vermilion and Moonblaze Wolf are going to be on the mic for that one.
Well, so far, no real problems.
No, and even to get to the table stages, you have to be a very high caliber runner. And both of these runners, I know their records are 1 and 4 right now. I know they're eliminated from further advancement up the table stages. But in order to even get this far, you have to be a pretty top tier runner. So these both have practiced this particular grind many times. I will say, from a runner's perspective, though, if you're in this position and you have that early darkness crystal in a spot that everyone's going to go to anyway in Mount Ordeals, and you got that hook, and you're in go mode in sub 30 minutes, the pressure's on. You're thinking about nothing else at this point in time, but I got to go fast, I can't waste any more time. Any mistake is going to be costly. Their hands are sweaty, their knees weak, their arms are heavy. I don't know if there's vomit on their sweater already. I love you, chat. I think I like Jofus Mano's Eddie Spaghetti. Yeah, that fits the rhyme scheme. I'm with you. I have not seen if either of these runners have managed to get off a double life.
I have not seen a double life.
That, I think, would be the only thing that could get Frostbite caught up, because profcory was just a hair's ahead of him. Neither of them had the time save move to put weak at the top of Tella's spell list, which, again, that's such a niche sort of thing, but it's something that saves time in the long run. Jofus asks, what's the total number of kills usually shoot for? 20? It varies. It really does. 20 is if you have a level 1 Rydia and you need to slingshot them up to nuke. Or get them up to nuke. I don't know if we're going to need to do the full 20. Maybe 10 total. But that being said, it's not... Both of these runners are thinking that this isn't... We don't have a fantastic party. We have 2 white mages, a black mage, and 1 damage dealer who you're probably going to be reflecting stuff off of and tossing cure potions. So... You're going to want to set up to prepare yourself to deal with the big bangs that he puts through. You're going to want to be set up in order to get through whatever else you need to get through in the underground as well. I mean, we know the Dark Imps are at the Rubicante spot, but there could be something nasty waiting for us there in the middle. So, I don't know. I would probably be shooting for mid-50 levels with this particular party, because I'm always nervous about Threemus, because I've lost some races, including Hook 1, because of bad party comp setup on my way to Threemus 1. I'm not bitter at all. But we'll see what these runners do, because again, this isn't a race for progression, this is a race for pride. So I don't know what their mentalities are going into this.
That is a very good point.
If they were both at like 2-2, and the winner at least it maintains a shot of advancing, I think there'd be a lot more pressure on them.
Yeah, Sofnum does have a good point there. If you kill an extra dragon or two, that is the difference between you wiping on a boss or not. You've gained some time.
Yeah, I know. All right, so it looks like Frostbite is actually done with his grind first. profcory is also done with his grind. It is a straight line grind race at this point in time. My goodness, I think they both got... You think Corey ended up with 1 more kill? I mean, it's entirely possible. They both ended up in the 50s. Porum's I'm a little bit nervous about Porum and Palom with low levels. But if you're nerfing things properly, you should be okay. Getting everything set up with the party, and Frostbite will be warping out. profcory is also going to be doing his magic bar setup as well.
Yeah, that'll definitely save some time finding spells later.
And this is convenient. Frostbite is just landing and saying, I'm not going to worry about Mist Cave right now. I know I need to get to the underground to get that dwarf castle. So he's going to go do that, not worry about flying over to pick up his other airship and coming back over here. This is a bit of a time save. profcory, meanwhile, is going over and is going to get the ship and then come back. So this is a weird situation. Both of these runners are neck and neck. They don't know it, and literally every second counts here.
But definitely the hook boss should be no trouble at all with this levels.
Absolutely not. Palom with Quake will make quick work of those Dark Imps if he doesn't just cast Stone on all of them, because honestly, he could just do that with both Palom and Tella, honestly. Why not Ribbon Altar? You can get Legend or Magma, skip hook route, because you would have to get both Magma and Legend to skip the hook route. You need to get the underground to go to the forge anyway. So you would need both in order to do that. And if you do everything else and then go up and do it, and that's your last key objective, you're right there. There's no more second walk up to the moon.
And that walk is long enough.
Yeah, I think it's something like 2 to 3 minutes on its own. So. Meanwhile, Frostbite, first one, and we have, oh, this would have been horrible to get through if we weren't at these high levels.
Yeah, only person to go down was Tella. And that's because he's Tella.
Yeah, I'm perfectly fine. We get a HP refill after this. Very quick fight. Yeah, that would have been horrible to try to go through before grinding. Oh my gosh. One thing that we see Frostbite doing is making sure that he's knocking his Tella down. After this, he does not want him to gain any levels.
Yeah, you don't want to mess up your anchor at this point.
Casting Zerk on his cane, just letting him roll. Casting Quake. Again, I think the faster play would be Stone here, but people forget that we have insta-kill mechanics on our Black Mages. But profcory didn't. And guess who just made up all the lost time? We have synced victories now.
Just one little difference in use of mechanics.
It's a heads-up play. You have to be aware of what bosses are vulnerable to, don't have the boss bit. This has been an amazing back and forth because, again, they both entered the giant close. I think profcory got his setup going a little bit faster. Frostbite finished his grind a little bit faster, maybe one fight sooner or one dragon sooner. Had a little bit of an edge, but opted to hard kill the imps instead of stoning them. And now they are absolutely neck and neck going through here. Even the slightest change at this point in time, like I said, is going to make a difference here. This is one heck of a race. I hope everyone's tuned in. You paid for the whole seat. You're only going to need the edge.
Very true.
I mean, I would love to have an edge, but edge is not appearing in this seat.
And honestly, I wouldn't have seen weapons for it. Was that Golbez?
That was very much a Golbez. Ha, 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 ha. When we talk about doing your grind early so you can steamroll bosses, what it doesn't take into account is this Joker.
This absolutely obnoxious fight.
But Frostbite showing us other strats. Notice profcory had the hold put on him. Frostbite poisoned all of his guys, which doesn't allow the hold to be written. So his party is completely ready to just stomp Golbez as soon as his Shadow Dragon is gone. Casting Venom means that, like right now, he can cast a nuke, jumps are going off. Meanwhile, profcory has to wait a little bit longer. Again, fantastic strategies.
Of course, health is not really going to be that difficult.
Oh, and yeah, the magic damage here is a little bit interesting. French vanilla Golbez. Rosa now taking a nap. Feeding into Rubicante.
Nothing to worry about there.
No, absolutely not. They'll get through this, complete both bosses. Again, chat pointing out Frostbite does need to go do Mist Cave. That will not take long.
In reality, if you take that into account, they are exactly neck and neck here.
It's so close. It is so close. I think profcory will have a slight edge getting there. It's dependent on what strats are going on. They've both made kind of minor, I'm not going to say mistakes, but suboptimal plays at this point. Frostbite with the Venom strats was fantastic. profcory with the stone on the Dark Imps is fantastic. So they've been back and forth through this since finishing their grind. This is a fantastic race to consider for both of these runners. And profcory walking out instead of exiting. It's amazing. This is those races where you start seeing when you get the side-by-side comparison, you see exactly how much time is saved by doing the little things like exiting out of Dwarf Castle instead of walking out. Hey, it's only 2 or 3 seconds, but that 2 or 3 seconds adds up over the course of the last 20 minutes of the race.
Very, very true. So now it looks like they basically just gotta go take care of the ribbon room. And then straight on to Z.
Yeah. Frostbite is going to get a virus off to a quick kill on Leviathan. profcory heading down to the Crystal Tower. All right, so profcory officially the first one in. Is this our first peek at the lunar character?
I believe so. No loss.
Wrong, old man. Yeah, there was no risk of there being no Tellas in this seed whatsoever.
You want Tella? Here you go. Have, what was it, 3, 4?
Oh, Joe Fists, now I want to write that song. And no. So what could be waiting for us down here in the ribbon room that we want? Let's have a chat. What boss are you hoping to see here in the ribbon room? Do you want the vanilla D-Lunars? Do you want Alt Gauntlet, which would be horrible and delicious all at the same time? Everyone's saying Alt Gauntlet. Yeah, that would be horrible. Let's get some bets going. Like, I'll give you a shout out on the stream if you can correctly guess what boss we're going to see. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it in chat. I love you guys.
No, bro!
It's the Note Bro! Sofnum guess no probe. Yami Angelus also said no probe. I really apologize for butchering names. So, my apologies. So yeah, this is kind of a rude no probe. Absolutely here.
And we have a reset.
Frostbite goes, hang on.
Battle speed adjustment.
I like knowing what he's got to do at that point in time. profcory is using reflected nukes. I think he's trying to dodge a counter script on Ogopogo. Oh, Smakey, yes, I remember those. Yeah. Meanwhile, it looks like Frostbite is also setting up reflect strats. Oh, Kane goes down.
That's not so good.
Oh, profcory has to reset out. Oh no. Frostbite, with his slower battle speed, actually is setting things up fairly well.
Sometimes the battle speed is all the difference.
No, it's absolutely true. You've got to know your own strengths and weaknesses, because wiping to a boss is just a huge time waste. Not necessarily in the wiping, it's the everything that you did leading up to it. If you go into a boss and are immediately dead, that's not a huge time loss. If you go into a boss and you get most of the way through it and then die, that's the huge time loss. So Frostbite, kind of knowing his own strengths and weaknesses, and probably having fought Ogopogo here prior, absolutely knowing, yeah, let's turn down this battle speed.
And he got through first because of that change.
Yeah, no, fantastic. We'll see. Does Frostbite swag walk it, or do you go back and save? There is the crystal right now. So 3 objectives done. Pink and Ag Apple. So all of you guys saying, hey, go ahead and do that first, just in case. And I dig the safety save.
Yeah, honestly, Threemus can be such a erratic fight at times. I mean, if you're good, you can usually predict it, but the number of times I've had it just somehow go completely weird.
Meanwhile, we have another thing that we like to do here in the Final Fantasy IV free enterprise community. You know, we're a big fan of randomization because, you know, we play this. A lot of us play multiple randomizers. We like to mix things up. One of the things we thought is like, well, we can't really change Threemus. Like, he's got to be the end boss. His script is too tough. It'd be too much to handle outside of the end game. So how can we randomize Threemus? We randomize them by changing what his true colors are. There are more than 450 different sprites possible for Threemus when he shows us his true colors. So the question becomes, whose butt are we gonna kick tonight?
And there are so many good ones.
Yeah, Imperial, do you have a favorite?
I kind of like the one for the old lady in Kaipo.
Yeah, I think we've all wanted to kill her. Yep.
It's very amusing to get a little payback.
Yeah, there's so many different Z sprites, and shout out to Scala Kitty, who's kind of taken over curating all of that, sitting in chat. There's a ton. There's just absolutely a ton, and they're all fantastic. So much work goes into that, and of course, randomizing the heart music for Edward as well.
Okay, that is one I've never seen before.
Jenga mess. Okay. Oh no, it's shaking. Yeah, you don't want Jenga mess to shake. Wow, okay.
That is amazing.
All right, so Prof Corey now catching up will also be on the Jengamus fight shortly. Frostbite's getting in a lot of work early. He's focused on lots of reflect strats. Took a swing with Kane. I got to imagine he's gonna stop swinging with Kane directly just to prevent that counter HP refill.
Yeah, with the reflect strats, you really don't want to set that off.
Yeah, to explain that, because there's limited bits in Super Nintendo era programming, they wanted Threemus to have 120 some odd thousand health, but the game could not physically allow that. Oof. So what they set up was a counter script once he gets under 40,000 health or so, once you've done 40,000 damage to him, to move him into his third phase where he no longer goes through his virus script. So if you attack him or damage him in any way after that 40,000 or so health, he will do a complete HP refill, and then you go through and kill him. However, much like any counter script in the game, you can dodge the counter script by using reflected magic. So instead of having to do the full 100x, however much health he has, you can do half that if you only rely on reflected magic for that last 20,000 or so.
It's much faster that way.
I mean, it does require a party setup to be able to do so. Let's not get that twisted. You do have to set up to primarily rely on magic. If you have more than a couple melee fighters, then it tends to be a little bit slower. But if you can set it up, it is much faster, yes. Ooh, high roll big bang on Frostbite3030. Frostbite3030. Wow. So we'll see if Frostbite can get his recovery going. Prof Corey, meanwhile, continuing to just move right along.
And
Flash. GG's to Frostbite. Winner of the race looks like official time of 1 hour, 10 minutes, 27 seconds. Prof Corey's got to be like right there as well. We'll wait to get them both in chat at the same time.
Definitely a really close race.
Yeah, absolutely. They've been neck and neck for the past 45 minutes or so. A little bit of back and forth going on there. Frostbite, ultimately, I think with those Venom strats, pulled him ahead just ever so slightly. Also doing things like warping and exiting. Meanwhile, I do think, is that Frostbite joining us now?
It is. Thanks for bringing me up in here, Vitasian. Thanks for running this for us tonight, Smithy and Imperial Dragon. I caught the end there. It was incredible to watch back. This was one of those, like, quote-unquote jet scenes. Like, you get the hook, you get the darkness crystal, you're good. And I knew I'd done okay. I had that wipe to Baigen, which I was thinking about most of the end of the game. And then I knew that my plan against the dolls didn't go as well as I'd wanted to, because I knew I could have just one-shot them with Palom, but at that point, like, making sure that Tella was dead was more valuable to me than the time I wasted. Not maybe the amount of time I ended up wasting, but like if I get out of RA1, that Z fight goes way differently than it ended up going. So that took a little bit longer than I wanted to. But yeah, I felt really smart about whipping out Venom against Golbez. I was like, this is gonna work. I'm fast enough. It's set up perfectly. It doesn't save that much time, but it saves enough time because it doesn't do the paralyzed animation and whatnot. And I figured like it was gonna be super close because there was no real other option. I feel like when you get the Darkness Crystal there, you just have to D-Machine grind and go through the hook and finish the game. Like there's no real other choice, right? So it looked like it was super close down the end. Unfortunately, it looked like profcory took a wipe to Ogopogo, and that easily could have been me. Yeah, so what happened the first time when I went in there was, like, the whole time I'm walking up there, I'm thinking, okay, I'm just going to nuke whatever's here. So I immediately direct cast nuke on Ogopogo, and I'm like, this is not a good idea. And then I was going to go into Z at battle speed 3 anyways because of the reflect strats, and I mean I do Z at 3 basically every time unless I'm going to 6 anyhow, but like I found specifically Ogopogo, like I feel like dumping the battle speed makes a huge difference against him. I'm not sure he even got a second wave off on me in that second fight. I'm pretty sure I got him down after only the first wave, and I think he got all 3 of his punches in. But I felt really happy about that play, about just instead of just trying to, like, you know, because that I think he does the counter blaze, which I think would have done another quarter of my HP. But I had like 4 enemies or 3 characters with Cure 4, so I could have recovered. But I think just getting out of there and going back in smart with a better plan, getting Kane zerked right away, I think it was really smart as well. And yeah, my Z fight went really well. I was super happy. I got the worst possible RNG with the counter nuke going on to my weak Porum. And like, because Rosa could have tanked anything at that point because she has like 3,200 HP or something absurd. And I mean, Kane was and Palom had better gear on, but I figured it went as sort of exactly as I thought it would. No matter how bad a roll I got on that second Big Bang, there was no way that Rosa or Kane was going to die. I was going to immediately life up Palom and then get the Cure 4 off, and then immediately Star Veil, and I timed it absolutely perfectly. So the Star Veil was like entered, then the black hole happened, then the Star Veil launched. I was super happy that I executed it so well, and yeah, I'm really happy with this race. GG's to profcory, like he's a really good runner as well, and obviously it was super close down the end, and definitely could have gone either way. I mean, obviously he had the best of me heading into the Ogopogo fight. He was ahead by, you know, not like it's a small amount in this game, but he was certainly leading, and he just took the unfortunate wipe, and that was basically the difference, and got super lucky, I guess, in that sense. And yeah, feels good to get a couple wins at the end because my start wasn't so great in the table stage. Not that my opponents were easy or anything either, but and not that profcory was easier either, but I think I got a little bit of my nerves out of my way, and I feel like this was probably the best race I played in the whole tournament.
Yeah, the back and forth that you two had for the past 45 minutes of the race was just fantastic. profcory, I think, started his grind, you know, about a minute before you. You finished yours sooner. I think he had 1 more kill over you. You went back and forth. He had a little bit faster strats getting into the underground using stone on the dark imps instead of, you know, burning them down with HP. But then you had the venom strats, so it was fantastic. It was a great, I think, textbook example of kind of micro things that we can do as runners to make our times faster, because you two were bouncing back and forth so much there for the last little bit.
Yeah, this is the type of race that I would love to watch, like as someone who's like into the tech and stuff, like just watching the stuff that, you know, I don't want to say the average viewer, but like I've been putting a lot of time into trying to get good at this game over the past couple months, and I've been noticing like the very small micro optimizations that people do to try and save time, and I try and implement them as long as I don't feel like, okay, I'm going to try and do this and it's just going to cost me way more time because I'm going to fail at it, right? Or whatever the case may be. So, you know, trying to keep my menus sort of more organized and whatnot, and you know, I really practiced the D machine, and my gosh, I'm so happy I bought those succubus because I absolutely did not mean to weak the thing on the very first D machine, and like if I didn't have the stack of succubus there, that's a reset. I didn't have a Lilith rod. I was, you know, what am I going to do? Hope it rolls 9 and I get 8 D machines out of it by using, Thor rages or something to summon them. But like that's a trick I picked up from CNC, and it's something I really like to do. I like to just buy enough succubus so that if I do that accidental weak on the thing, which I've been prone to do, especially when I'm nervous and not my hands are shaking, but they're not working at prime optimum, when you're in a big race. I tend to have a few like miss inputs, and it's just sort of a backup strategy that I've implemented, and it literally won me the race because I bought that stack. And if I hadn't, I would have lost, because I would have lost 5-6 minutes resetting up, and that was bigger than the delta in this race. So yeah, this is one of those races that I would have loved to have watched. There's two kinds of races, right? I mean, there's a million kinds of races, but like there's the kind where it's like you have like the world is open and you're looking for go mode, and then that's super fun, usually up until someone finds it, and then it's sort of a foregone conclusion because they've usually found it before the other person. Then there's the other time where people find it at the same time, and then they have a bunch of racing to do at the end, and those are the ones that I really like to watch, because then you can watch the sort of micro optimizations and see the back and forth, and I'm going to love watching this one back, but not only because of that, because Vitasia, one of my favorite comms in Imperial. I'm not as familiar with you, but I'm sure I'm going to love it back as well.
Oh, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Come on, us V3R guys, we got to stick together.
It's true, man. So, and profcory finished about 2 minutes after you. So, walk me through this, because, you both went into this going 1-4. This was pretty much kind of just a pride race at this point in time. Did you do anything different? Did you think, I'm going to do some crazy strats going into this, or was it just take care of business going forward?
I don't know what I like. It never really gave the opportunity to really do anything sort of unique, I felt, because it was so quickly into go mode. Like, I mean, it's just do ordeals and you're in go mode, right? Do antline and ordeals, and that's the whole game. Oh, by the way, if you stop by Fabul, you'll get it. I think that's where the Stardust Rod was. So it's like, and then go pick up your Palum, go grind and do the game. So it didn't really give any opportunity, I felt, to do much of, check your music or do whatever. But no, I tend to have a feeling that I just go into races and try and play the seed like kind of as I feel it, and I don't really go with big arching strategies of I'm going to do this first or I'm going to do this first. I'm going to do what I feel based on the insane calculations that sort of make up the routing, and that's about it. But anyways, I got to get going. I've been taking up a lot of you guys' time. Vitasia, Imperial Dragon, thanks for doing the comp. Snape, thanks for doing the organization. And was it Jokas on the tracking, or if someone else? I thank them, and thanks everyone for putting these races on. It's sad to be out of the tournament, but I've had a blast, and I'm looking forward to watching the rest of them.
Well, GG's to you, Frostbite. Fantastic run, and I'm sure we'll see you more as the tournament progresses, helping out behind the scenes, maybe? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got some volunteer time coming up. The league is starting too, so I'm going to have to start playing that again. But no, now that I'm feeling like as scared about embarrassing myself on Restream, which was like a real, I went 6 for 6, I felt. I'm not totally embarrassing myself, so that's a big plus. And yeah, no, it's been awesome. I'm obviously going to keep playing, and once the more sort of the clubs start back up and they fit with my schedule, I'm going to be playing in them. And no, it's a super fun game. I like it. I've been playing it casually for a long time, and I just really liked the group flags when they came out, so I decided to join up, and then I got really into it, and it's been a blast. And yeah, thanks everyone, and everyone have a good night. Take care.
All right, that was Frostbite3030. Thank you so much. Let's see if we can drag profcory down here. And we are joined by profcory. GG, sir.
GG.
Man, it was much closer than that 2-minute time differential made it out to be. I mean, it came down to the wire there.
Yeah, I've been hearing that a lot lately. But I can't be salty on this one. Previous races, maybe I felt like I got unlucky. I just didn't check the right thing, but I otherwise played well. This time, luck had nothing to do with it. We both had the same exact route to follow. And I had that wipe on Ogo, and Frostbite probably did a couple other things better than me. So just awesome race by him. GG.
It was really kind of a clinic, I think, in micro optimizations, especially for the last 45 minutes because you were both, you entered the giant. I think you were about a minute ahead when you entered the giant. I think you had one more kill in Dragons than he did, so he actually finished sooner. But your party was more optimized. You had the white spear. He never opened up the treasure chests in Baron, so his cane was rocking just a fire sword, and that made enough of a difference that you got through the underground. I mean, you caught up to him at that point in time. You used stone on the dark imps. He damaged through them all, and by that point you were neck and neck. But you had already done the mist cave at that point, so it really was kind of a clinic on micro optimizations at the end of the race. The little things that you can do and how much time they save you. 2 or 3 seconds was really what it was looking like it was going to come down to, up until, unfortunately, that Ogopogo.
Yep. Yeah, the Ogopogo was rough, and also it's funny that you mentioned the white spear, because that could have really helped me in the long term, but actually in the end, you never know how this heat's gonna go. I guess I don't regret going to get it, but that time diving all the way through the watery pass also probably cost me. That's a minute or so of effort that it turned out that I didn't really need to do. So that's the dangers of looting. You never know when you're going to end up in a jet seed or a grinded out seed where you need all the gear you can get. It's just a risk you got to take. It's a gamble that I pretty much always make if I get the Tella early on and I have the exit so I can jump out. But it's even now I can't say for sure whether it's the best idea. It's just, I guess, part of my routine.
Yeah, and this was a seed. It screamed jet seed to me, from the get-go. Just looking at the flags and what we were looking at, I kind of figured out Moon was going to be haunted. What was your feeling going into it, into this race? Both you and Frostbite were 1-4 going in, kind of statistically eliminated from the match, so it was more of a pride race. Did you think about changing anything up going into it, or is just like, hey, I'm going to run my race and we're going to see what happens?
I was thinking a little bit about whether I was gonna do something silly or try some really off the wall strategies. Not that the seed would really allow for many of those anyway. But by the time the race started, I decided I'm just gonna do my very best. And once I saw what the objectives were, I was like, this is a refreshing change of pace, because all my last races have been you have 2 objectives done and you have half of Forge the Crystal. And so you need 1 of 2 items for go mode, and who's going to find it first. So this one, I was like, it's probably not going to come down to that. And I was actually kind of looking forward to that, which goes back to what I said before. I can't be too mad about losing this one, since it was purely about execution in the end.
I mean, it was a fantastic race, and I hope you have fun going back and watching this one, because it was, again, for the last 45 minutes, you guys were just trading spots back and forth and back and forth. It was fantastic to watch, and even Frostbite had a little bit of trouble at Threemus. He had to recover some. You just kept bopping along. It came down to just every little bit, and it was a pleasure to watch. It was just such a great race between the two of you.
That's good. I'm glad everybody was able to enjoy it. That there wasn't anything at stake in this one. So the best we could have done was give an entertaining race. I'm glad we were able to do that.
That you did.
Well, any final thoughts on the seed, the tournament as a whole, or anything else before we get things wrapped up here, Prof?
I guess just final thoughts on the tournament. I'm of course sad that I wasn't able to get enough wins to move on, but at the same time sort of relieved to be done. I've been playing a lot of free enterprise the last few months, but it was worth it. I'm very happy with how much better I've gotten at the game compared to when the tournament was announced. I definitely saw the results in my times just getting better and better. That was a fun feeling. And I'm definitely not done with Free Enterprise. I'm looking forward to whatever comes next. I'm always amazed by what the community is able to put together. It's such a it has this feeling of being like professionally done between the graphics and the how clean all the scheduling is, and there's like almost never technical problems or never like serious ones. That's just a credit to the admin team and the restream team and everybody involved. It's really incredible. It's been an honor to be a part of. Thanks, folks.
Thank you so much, profcory. GG's to you and your run through this tournament. Really looking forward to seeing what you do in the future. You came in and just blew a lot of us away. Looking forward to the next tournaments here.
Thank you.
GG's both to profcory and Frostbite3030. If you liked what you saw from our runners, go ahead, give them a follow here on Twitch. Also want to give a shout out to our folks behind the scenes, Joseph Mano doing the tracking and Smapedy with the restream. Also, another thank you to Imperial Dragon, my co-commentator. Thank you so much for being with me tonight.
And thank you for having me. It's been fun.
Absolutely. Other than that, we're going to send you guys over to a race that is currently in progress. As a reminder, don't spoil the ending of this race. Just tell everyone they have to watch it because it was fantastic. We're going over to RPG Limit Break with Gaming with a Wraith versus Flory 14. Thank you guys. Have a great rest of your night, and we'll see you at the next match.